Well, statistically, Shimmy, interesting in that first half as well. A lot of tackles made by both sides, and they were quite dominant. But penalties, a lot of penalties given away by both sides.
What's been impressive is the tackles made by Paarl Gim. Even though it's a lot of tackles, they have been aggressive. But then again, you know, it's about taking your opportunities, and once you get in that 22, you got to convert. The conversion rate of Paarl is not too good, but Paarl Gim, I tell you what, they are efficient when they get into that area. They use their big runners coming around the corner, and it's either a penalty or a try.
So it's Paarl Gimnasium playing with the sun, if you could call it that. We'll see a few players looking up into the sun as White Murphy gets the kickoff. Game underway in the second half, taken by Jacques van Zyl. Now bear in mind, Paarl Roos have a man off the field. Hendrik Willem Barnard has been yellow carded. So all the pressure should be on Paarl Roos in the next 10 minutes of this second half.
Not a great exit strategy from Paarl Roos. Straight from the kickoff, they're under pressure. A lot more distance needed from that kick. From Aiden Cupido.
Thompson and Schickeling dominant in the lineouts. Well, they're up against 7 men in the pack of forwards. Some teams bring a backline play into a situation like that to try and hold them back. Murphy into a little bit of space, not enough for him to squeeze through, so he's held on to the ball. Change there from Nel. Schickeling. This man has really played. A South African schools player last week. Turned 18 on Wednesday. Can you believe it? Giant of a man. This time Jasper Visser carrying it up. They're very, very close, our Paarl Gimnasium. Nel. I have to say, Paarl Roos have defended quite heroically on occasions, but can they do it again with only 14 men? Well, it's going to be a penalty that I think will be kickable, but I doubt very much if they'll kick it goal, Shimmy.
They didn't do it. Well, they tried it once, I must say, the end of the second half, but that's because the time was against them again, using the two-pod system.
Okay, don't make contact.
And you know, with this move, you've got two options. Either hit the guys right next to Null or go wide across.
Paarl Roos very quickly out of the stumbling blocks, and has that ball been taken away? No, they've still got it. Paarl Gim. Carried over, so they'll come back for scrum 5 with the attacking team's ball. Great position this for Paarl Gim to get a really strong right shoulder. They've got the nippy Brendan Nel at scrum half.
6 off.
Kevin, and it all started from a kick from Cupido that didn't gain distance from the kickoff. Look how much pressure there Paarl Roos under, but it's so important your extra strategy, using your kicking game to get your territory. A bad return from Paarl Roos has put them under pressure as they ring the substitutions.
JP Buerta
got to be the same numbers
on the park, and the reason for that, of course, is that they need a temporary substitution.
You can't use him.
And they've got to send a man off the field. And I'm not sure who's left. They're still going to have 14 men. That's the net result. But they need to have a proper tight forward in place of Hendrik Willem Barnard. That's not a bad scrum, that, from Paarl Roos. Brandon Nil, Murphy, change of direction to Westhuizen. I'll tell you what, the momentum is very much with Paarl Gimnasium, with 15 players against 14. Now a chance for them, and it's a real chance, and over they go. Level Gous with one of the rare touches he's had in this match, interestingly enough, but got the all-important try.
It's good passing. They cut back to the short side again. To the far side, but it's just great hands here. That Murphy out to Level Gous. He stumbles over. This was really good hands. Nice pass from Humanis. Out wide in. Oh, Kevin, it just seems, you watch the Paarl Gym team, Paarl Gimnasium, it just seems as business as usual for them, They just get there, It's effortless. They seem to have more numbers. Well, they do have more numbers now because of that yellow card, but it's just effortless from them.
They also talk about their all-roundedness, Shimmy, and I think that's very evident. They don't have too many weak slots in their side. You know, they have guys who are very, very good and specialists in their position, but they also have players who can play in multi-positions. This is one of them, the fly-half Murphy. That's a super kick. Drifted in beautifully. So the conversion of the try by Roos pushes them up to 17 points.
Well, the numbers were just telling from Paarl Gimnasium. That's the last pass from Wanasa to Roos, and he stumbles over. But you know, Christoph Lotter spoke about how they play a total game, and they've embraced that. Schickeling's been running around. Everybody gets the opportunity to get their hands on the ball. It's not just the forwards mauling it up, playing off 9. Total rugby. It's always good to see that with the schoolboys.
Oh, rare knock on there from Johan Momsen. Oh, it wasn't a knock on. On they go. And right up against the touchline is Calvin Nell. That pass has gone forward, so referee will play advantage. This is exactly where Paarl Gimnasium can be so dangerous. Broken play, because they've got the pack of forwards and the loose forwards in particular, very skillful. And you've got Schickeling. He keeps a couple of men busy every time he's got the ball in hand.
Miles.
Strong tackling from Paul Roos. He's certainly not giving up.
Talking about chopping someone's legs off.
Westhuizen. Pop pass to Jacques Vermeulen, who's fallen awkwardly, but they've managed to hold on it. Now they've got an overlap. Beautiful running by Botma. Got it on inside, she goes. Pick up from Murphy. In fact, from Brendan Nell, rather. Botma back in play, but there might have been a knock-on.
Just fantastic work rate from Rickos Botma to keep exhausting the far side. A lot of the players would stick on the blind or wait for the ball to come to them, but he's actually coming around the corner and he creates that overlap. So now guys just stepped out into touch.
Well, there might have been 1 or 2 questions about why didn't the referee let advantage go. I think there might have been 2 knock-ons.
Who's in?
Were there? No.
Well, I'm sure the touch judge actually lifted his flag there.
Okay. Crouch.
Nevertheless, it is an attacking scrum for Paarl Gimnasium.
Bind. Scrum.
Look for them to bring Amanis or Ryan Westhuizen in on the cut. Well, they're not going to do that because they've surrendered a penalty. That's a huge, huge penalty, that, for Paul Roos.
I must say that that's an area where Paul Roos have been good, is at the scrum. Even though you're not allowed to, obviously put a big shove on. You can only go, I think it's 1.5 meters for schoolboy rugby. They have been good. They've manipulated the shoulders beautifully.
Chris Smith bringing the relief.
Well, this is it. I thought the touch judge actually put his flag up. Let's just have a look here. There he stepped out. And he did put the flag up also.
Yeah. Yep, not noticed by Jonathan Kaplan and not communicated by the assistant referee, maybe. Short line out. Is that throw in straight? It's very important for them to be accurate. They need to get out of their 22. Smith's kick downfield onto Dylan Fairbridge. Change of direction. It's for Wayno Fasaki. There's such good rhythm at the moment in this Paarl Gimnasium team. They're just keeping the flow of the ball going. When they do go to ground, they get a quick delivery, but not on this occasion. They went off their feet at the breakdown point. So Jonathan Kaplan's called them back, and just as well, because that kick didn't go out. There's the initial tackle, and you saw Joel Hugh, or Level Roos rather, coming in from the side. This time Smith makes 100% sure But they're still in their half of the field.
Take a threat out when you do that, not just dive out. Take a threat away, one of their guys, okay?
And the time is marching on for Hendrik Willem Barnard to get back on the field.
1 minute. 1 minute.
I must say the replacement JP Buerta at the moment has done a good job.
1 minute to go.
Another minute, says Jonathan Kaplan. Short line out this time for Paarl Roos. Oh, that's well read that by Mobson.
Gaps, gaps. Lost the ball, lost.
But they closed the gap too quickly, says the referee.
Put it down.
That's always a sign of, good planning when you watch how JD Schickling and Mobson are actually, at line-out time, they're moving around, they're putting pressure up on the short line-out, so great planning from Paarl Gym.
Well, Paarl Roos are back to 15 men. They've brought on a replacement, Vernon Peterson, so they can compete once again and not just defend. And they've got some fresh legs. And they are loud of voice on the stand. Can understand how important it is for them to get some early points, but they're not going to do it with these sort of overlaps being created. Here comes Schickling again. He's like a giraffe that could do the 100 in whatever it might be. Just sprinting down the touchline. We saw him last week as well pick up a ball around his ankle, so he's got the skills to go with it.
Well, that's a thing of beauty. 2 meters tall, galloping down the touchline. He showed a good turn of pace, JD Schickling. He's having fun out there. Look at that, he turns the burners on. Boom, he's up against the wing. Great there. Well, he got him around the laces, offload in, could have been a try.
Yeah, terrific work rate from the tight forward. Well, it looks like Daniel Buitenach has lost his boot again. You can see him coming into picture for the second time.
Can't wait again, okay?
Just strap it over, just get one of the physios to actually put tape and strap the boot onto it.
I think Jonathan Kaplan's a little bit grumpy. I haven't got much time.
And it is pretty warm out
Get
there
that boot
also.
on. Sir, I want to put it on properly. Shimmy, what do Paarl Roos need to do to really get into this game? They're 14 points adrift.
Well, you look at their handling areas and so on. They get a try, they're really back into it. But first of all, play the game the right side of the field. They're struggling to outkick Paarl Gym. Once they get there, they've got enough ammunition to do it, but then their handling has to be good.
Now we've seen a number of knock-ons, more so from Paarl Roos than Paarl Gym. This is one of the new men. Vernon Peterson, very much part of the mix as well. Carry up there from Buitendag.
Last the footer. Play, yes.
And they continue to give away penalties to Paarl Gymnasium. This is better play. It's positive play. Opening up a little bit of space there is Matthew Gallo. See fullback Chris Smith, part of the mix. This has been one of the rare occasions that Paarl Roos have been down in the Paarl Gym half of the field in the second half.
Advantage.
But they've gone and lost the possession, and that's a little bit what Nyani Shimangi was talking about. He was talking about knock-ons,
Ball.
but also turnovers. Murphy quickly through the hands. Vermeulen. Strong competition from Paarl Gymnasium for that ball.
Lost.
They haven't managed to wrest it away. Jasper Visser setting things up. Vermeulen.
17 offsides.
There's a penalty advantage that's accruing to these men, Paarl Gymnasium.
Advantage over.
They don't want it by the looks of things. They want to attack that try line. Quick throw in. Maybe a wise thing to do. And that ball bouncing into space. Now that's been knocked on. So he has a chance. And they'll be looking for pace here. Will Paarl Roos in the form of Fortuin He slipped onto the park. Calvin Nell. This is better play from Paarl Roos. They know that they need to score points soon, and plenty of them. From the right wing, Joel Uke. Brilliant running by the right winger. How about this? For an individualistic, a brilliant try.
Oh, that is fantastic. And Paarl Roos are right back into this. The kick should be elementary, really, right in front of the sticks. But Joel Uke here, well, cutting back inside, beating 1, 2, 3, just ducking and diving, stepping over. That is beautiful. He beat about 7 defenders there. Joel Uke, dream try from him. Paarl Roos right back into it.
Conversion will come from Reinhard Fortuin, who's just come onto the field and has no problem from in front. Paarl Roos back into the game, scoring at a vital time.
That is special. Just cutting back again against the grain, using that inside step. And the pace from him straight off the mark. Still 2 more defenders to beat. And the parents in the background. Well, the crowd has come alive.
Well, so they should. We've very much got a game on our hands into the last 20 minutes. And it was buoyed on by the fact that they became 15 men again after playing with 14 with that yellow card.
And it's just important from this position to get themselves into the attacking side. You know, a weak kick here will do them no justice.
Well, yeah, they are running from their 22. The knock-on coming from Chris Smith. So very adventurous. Yes, a couple of his fellow players not that happy. They know the potential consequences.
Exactly, Gavin, and it's so important to control the kickoffs. We saw the Cheetahs doing this against the Hurricanes. Sometimes it can get you into trouble, but generally they drop the 2 wings and the fullback back, so there is an overlap. But you got to make sure then you get the ball out wide into space. You know, bring the players up and then kick into space. Then you're in good position, but mistakes like this just get you into trouble.
Brandon Nils, sniping little break from the scrum off. Good play by him. This time Thos was closely marked.
Hold there, lost the footer.
And it's been turned over. Important ball this for Paarl Roos.
Lost the footer, number 9.
I must say, I'm quite impressed with Jonathan Kaplan's Afrikaans.
There's Afrikaans all the way from Greenpoint. Lost a footer.
Well, they are still in their half of the field.
If you're not going to reinforce.
Now that was offsides there. He was obviously trying to put pressure for the kick. Caught offside. Smart playing from Paarl Roos to actually see that and run into him.
See, Gerry Leroux will be throwing in for Paarl Roos. He's one of the replacements. He's also a man who played last year for them, so a bit of experience. And the headmaster, Jannie van der Westhuizen, was mentioned too that there's a fair number of these players that will be back next year. The Paarl Roos team, so that augurs well for them. They are a young team, and they're a competitive team too. They know what it means to beat a big gun like Paarl Gimnasium, who currently #1 school in South Africa. They took that mantle away from Ojanikwa from George. It's a good kick. Up against the touchline is Hermanus. He likes the chip and chase, does Grant Hermanus, but you've got to get it over the heads of the advancing players. That's well turned over.
Netty ball.
Well, Murphy's kick has gone straight to Michael Meyer. You see, they're just trying to keep this ball going, Paarl Roos. Spread the game as wide as possible. Try and speed it up. They know that they've got plenty of quick players, including that man, Edwil van der Merwe. but he needs a little bit more space to move in.
Well, the quicker, the more broken field play, the better it's going to be for Roos. They've got lots of space. We saw what Joel Youth did, you know, when he was in space. The more broken field it is, the better it is for Paarl Roos.
Lots of hard work there from Momsen in the line out for Paarl Gim. Somehow they just managed to get some of their big fellows in key positions to carry the ball up. That's put a lot of pressure on the backline players of Paarl Roos. Smith. Nell. There's another man who dodges very well, Edwil van der Merwe.
Let it come now, last the footer. Roll out.
They're getting a little bit more possession right now, even if they have to use Buitendag at scrum half. Fortuin quickly through the hands of Smith, but there was a knock on. Jonathan Kaplan's not going to miss that.
What's important is one of these passes for Paarl Roos are going to stick, and then they're going to get that important line break. The airspace, if you look to the right-hand side, the airspace out wide there, they've got players too. So as soon as the passes start sticking, the opportunities will come. But now maybe a little bit disjointed. And they're putting pressure on the Paarl Gim line out, so that's important.
So sadly, injuries are part of. Never likes to see that with perhaps
Crouch.
an ankle injury or whatever it might be. Jerome Korf.
Bind. Scrum.
Aguilar, who's on for Nell.
Play on.
Change of direction here for Oosthuizen.
Loss.
It's almost as if Paarl Gimnasium just want to grind out this victory as best as they can. I don't mean that in a negative sense, but they're using their forwards, just trying to dominate territory. And it's Paarl Roos, a very hungry side. They've turned that over brilliantly. Change from Smith. Strong tackle on Calvin Nell. No, it wasn't Calvin Nell. It's Aguilar who's on the field at scrum half. It was Michael Meyer that copped that heavy tackle. Jacques van Zyl.
We have a maul.
Time is marching on. But Paarl Roos know they're one score away, potentially, of drawing level with the #1 team in South Africa. It's good play by Smith. Just held on to the ball. He didn't want to just throw a wild pass. This is Michael Meyer. A strong counter-rucking from Paarl Gimnasium. Paarl Roos managed to hold on to it.
Lost the footer.
Sniping little break. That's a great pass. He has a chance, but there's no support on that occasion for Tristan Kramer. And he's thrown what we would call a 50-50 pass. Try scorer Joel Youth. Change of direction. And they're going to come back. That was good play of advantage by Jonathan Kaplan. And I think there'll be a put in at the scrum here for Paarl Roos.
Paarl Gim are going to start getting nervous now because very little time left away from home. And Paarl Roos are getting the offloads away. It's becoming, it's almost become, you know, a 7's 15-man game. I think Nick Mallett mentioned it also. The more it is like that, the easier it is. Then they can start offloading, and they will get their try eventually, but dominating territory so they're the right side of the field.
Just get your balance. You're all over the place, okay?
So if they can get points here, well, Gavin, we certainly have a humdinger on our hands.
Crouch.
Well, I think in the last 10 encounters, there's been something like 1 draw, 5 victories and 4 victories, 5 to Paarl Gimnasium. So they've always played in a very tight match there, which is what you would expect from a derby such as this. Interception from Murphy. And let's wait to see what Jonathan Kaplan is going to do here.
Okay, I've just spoken to you about it. There's pillar defense, both players. I have to choose one of them. He's gone.
Rano for Sakhiov. This makes this game very, very interesting. There's just about 10 minutes to go. They're going to play with 14 men and against a hungry side. Fortuin. It's the new man, Peterson, that was on. Smith, very much part of the mix. Might just be about defense now for Paarl Gimnasium. They will be ever competitive at the breakdown point, though. Key ingredient here is patience and not to make a mistake. Fortuin into a half gap. A change of direction could help. That ball's just bobbing up, but it's gone forward. So it will not be a try to Vernon Peterson. But one senses that one could be coming quite soon.
As long as they're getting the offloads away, that try will come for Paul Roos. It's a difficult one to read that. Yeah, knocked on forward.
Yeah,
forward into his fellow player, actually.
Yeah, the middle pass was the one that went forward.
Yeah.
Because the last player is quite at liberty to have knocked and held on to the ball after that. With 7 men, they've done a courageous job here. Rikus Botma bravely holding on to it. Murphy, 3 men on his shoulder. Now Smith, full run here from Chris Smith. Paarl Gimnasium haven't got enough big men at that breakdown point, but doesn't look like they need them. Pick up from JP Buerta.
JD Shekeling, that is fantastic work. 2 meters tall, he's got his body over it like a loose
First man
forward.
on his feet, number 5, all rights to the ball.
Now that is fantastic. That is really good work from him.
Now it's that all-round play that we've spoken about. Just multi-talented. I wonder if he can kick drop goals.
Well, John Neal's good. Well,
I don't know about the drop goals. He was a great goal kicker. So securely out from Paarl Gim.
JD Shekeling, his body straight over it. It was the next rack. Arriving defender. And he stays on his feet. He's holding his own body weight up. Look at that.
Shekeling with a catch. Must surely be one of the contenders for the Man of the Match award. And bearing in mind the Man of the Match award actually goes to the, symbolically speaking, the defender of the day. Because rugby is all about defending your try line, and mutual and federal responses dependent on, well, he stepped out, unfortunately. I didn't finish my sentence. You know all about defensive portfolios. Joel Youth, a touch and go. He could have got the second try. And I'll tell you what, the local fans are absolutely livid and erupting, including the coach, Hein Crick. He's got his hands up.
Kevin, I think you must just accept the decision. It's not a good sign when the coach starts doing that to the touch judge. You must rather sit down and, you know, you don't want players chirping the ref. You must just relax there on the back.
So we'll have a look at that just now, just to see who was potentially right and potentially wrong, but it's live play at the moment.
Backwards, play on!
Murphy's knock-on, so to speak, went backwards. Paarl Roos with a possession. Engelau looking to carry it up. Jacques van Zyl. He's had a really full game as Jacques van Zyl. Full in the sense of being involved in pretty much everything. Throwing in, carrying the ball up, scrumming. Peterson. Looks like these replacements that have been made by Hein Crick, the coach of Paarl Roos, have sort of worked out quite well. He has their chance now. Smith, what's he going to do? Opens it up, and over goes Edward van der Merwe.
Well, what a try from Paarl Roos, and you can see what it means to the schoolboys. Up at it, could this be one of the biggest, well, fight backs? They've had a tough season, but at home now dominating this game. Momentum going that way. Edward van der Merwe, fantastic try in the corner. What a pass here from Chris Smith. This was here, well, over the top here from Reynard Fortuin. And Chris Smith in space, it's a 2-on-1. He draws the man, fixes him, draw and pass, and that's it. In the corner goes Edward van der Merwe. Another important kick to come.
Let's have a look at this tackle there on Chris Smith. He stayed down, but he offloaded at exactly the right time. Well, the wingers are in action, aren't they, Shimmy? This time it's Edward van der Merwe. The previous try was called by Joe Hugh on the right wing. And do you want to be this man kicking at goal from the touchline? Less than 5 minutes left. And then he's just, he must be a good math student, this man. He's sort of got his right angle sorted out there. Got his protractor out. And this goes straight. Nope, it's going to drift away. But they're very much still in the game. It's a 2-point game.
Well, we have to look at this here. Did he step out here? Always been tricky to see that side, but the flag did go up.
Now the question is, where was the assistant referee? He was pretty much close up there, so he made the call. And then this brilliant try with those long passes, finished off by Edward van der Merwe. Well, Paarl Roos will remain a hungry beast for the next 3.5 minutes. Can Paarl Gimnasium? They've done it before, but not always with 14 men. So Wayno Fasaki off the park. They've conceded the try. Can they hold on? It's been a terrific encounter.
No, it's been a marvelous encounter. What a day to start your Saturday rugby off. He's just going to try suffocate and strangle, slow it down here. But the use-it call has come.
Well, they're in motion right now, so the referee would allow that to happen, but he's still asking for it to come. Well, they can keep going. This is a really good maul, this from Paarl Gim. They know a try would seal it. Certainly a converted one, rather. So little time left. How close are they now? Brendan Nil quickly through. Murphy stays in. Close there, slipping as he went along, but still they've got the ball. Brendan Nil just swamped by Jacques van Zyl. Schickling at scrum off. Now pick up from Angela, rather from Roos. Murphy. Schickling again in the next. There they come. They've finished it off, surely.
Well, fantastic reply from Paarl Gim, and that is why they're unbeaten under pressure. The reply, well, it is comprehensive from the kickoff attacking line out. Great maul. It just made it look so easy. Schickling coming around the corner. Look at that offload pass. And hands do the job. Hermanus, well, he's over in Stellenbosch.
He certainly is, Jimmy. It's quickly through the hands there from Ryan Westhuizen. But again, there's another fullback in the play. He's right up there. They created the space, made 100% sure. And that should seal at least a draw for them. But if White Murphy can get this over, It's going to be a 2-score game for Paarl Gimnasium with no time left. Pressure kick, and he's got it over.
It's important, Paarl Gym. They didn't panic. They controlled it first of all with the kicking game, good in controlling that kickoff, shickling around the corner, drawing pass. Fantastic hands here from Brian Westhuizen out to Amanus.
The deep kick in, and the tight forwards of Paarl Gimnasium have done the hard yards. They've done the good work today that set up this victory. And I call it a victory because if you look at the time, there's 4 seconds left. Can Paarl Gimnasium finish with a flourish? Can they get another try? They've got 2 already to the 3 of Paarl Gym. And they won't give up trying. JP Buerta with a carry up.
Play on.
Oh, it's been turned over. He has another chance now. They've got really quick men in this side. Which way does this bounce? Key issue, beautifully caught, popped inside, but I think it's gone forward.
That was knocked on. It was knocked on. But by Fasaku, who came in. Oh, jeez, the pace from Roos here. He's definitely stepped out. No, he's definitely stepped out. His left foot crossed the line.
Timing was tight. They'll attack from their own goal line. They've got nothing to lose, Paarl Gimnasium. They want to retain the pride. They'd love to have scored 3 tries versus 3, but they're not going to because that's the end of the game, says Jonathan Kaplan.
And that is the final score. There's our man of the match, JD Schickling. We can see why he plays for Province Cravenry, and he's played SA Schools also. Good in the line out, good in the rucks, defended well, carried the ball beautifully, and really the heart and soul of this Paarl Gym. Total rugby from them, but I must say you can see why they're unbeaten, didn't panic. It's fantastic to be out here in Stellenbosch. Schoolboy rugby at its best, and the camaraderie, the friendship, guys that have played against each other probably since they're 14 years old. And this is probably the last time they will meet on the rugby field. But fantastic occasion from both sides, and that's what it's about. As we look at the game out here in Stellenbosch, Paarl Gimnasium traveled from 50 k's down the road. The winners in this game, 24 points to 15 to Paarl Gimnasium in Premier Interschools rugby.